So gone over you. Yeah. Silly of me. Devoted so much time to find you unfaithful, boy. I nearly lost my mind. Drive past your
Hey everyone, well, welcome back to another episode of FabuLex Makeup. Today we're doing a burgundy and gold tutorial since I got so many requests on Facebook to try and look like this, so I decided I'd give it a shot. Starting off with my eyebrows, I'm starting off with some Anastasia brow pomade in the shade Ebony. Sculpting and defining the brows, y'all, because they don't exist. By the way, this was filmed at 3:30 in the morning, so we'll get through this. A little bit of Anastasia brow duo in the shade Ebony as well, going on the last 3/4 of the brow to darken it. I'm using an Essence eyeliner brush because it's super tiny and I can be really precise with it, so I can control where the product goes and what the shape is. And that itty bitty little tiny thing is called Give Me Brow, and that's from Benefit. It's just a gel, just to help the brow hair stay in place. Now y'all know the FabuLex drill, a little bit of primer first and then a little bit of base. The Hard Candy Primer is one of my favorite primers to use on my lid to get the colors to stick, and then the NYX Above and Beyond Concealer helps all the shadows blend and keeps the colors popping. So the first palette I'm using today is the 35P Plum palette from Morphe, and I'm taking two shades, kind of like neutralizing the two, so I can get a nice base color to set the concealer with. So the first shade I'm using is a Toasted Tan shade, and I'm using my Morphe 502 brush, and I'm applying this on the outer corner and the inner corner of the eyelid because I'm going to be creating a halo eye with this look. Now it took me forever to get the perfect burgundy shade because I didn't have just a burgundy shade, so I had to create one. So I had 4 different swatches on my hand, so this is like the 4th one. I had to swatch that was like the closest burgundy shade I could get. With like, I don't even know, 5 different colors I had to mix in and blend and blend and blend. And I'm sticking with my 502 brush the entire time, and I grabbed my Morphe 35B Bright palette for a little bit of red and hot pink, and that was just to brighten up and get a little bit more, I guess, pinkish tones underneath rather than purple tones, because the first swatch I had too much purple. Had to tone it down with a little bit more red and crimson type of undertones. Now what really helped make this burgundy a little bit more warm and less pinky and weird looking was adding the dark brown and then blending it out with the first transition shade. And I kind of went back between those two just to keep it dark and kind of building up the color, and then blending it out with the first burgundy shade with the 502 brush. Back and forth with all the colors. And I'm taking a pencil brush from Emax Design and taking a really deep brown chocolate brown, like dark chocolate brown, and applying that on the outer and inner corner as well, creating a little bit of depth and then blending it out. This is a NYX Baked Eyeshadow in the shade Ghetto Gold, and I'm using my Morphe 560 brush. First, I'm applying some Above and Beyond NYX concealer on the eyelid and kind of gently moving it around on the eyelid and kind of patting it around, and then applied the eyeshadow right on top, acted as a glue for me. Since I wanted this to be a little bit more deep gold, I took my Tartlette palette from Tarte Cosmetics, applied that right on top of the baked eyeshadow, and then just blended out gently with the 504 brush. I could have blended out a whole lot more, but it was 3:30 in the morning. Y'all, I was lucky I wasn't falling asleep during this tutorial. Then using my favorite baby girl, Carli Bybel, for the highlight for inner corner and the same highlight for the brow using the 560 brush. Now I may have left the lid off of my kiss liner for a little bit, so it was giving me a little bit of attitude tonight. So I could have used a little bit of a mixing solution, but I just kind of, power through with it, made it work. You know how I do, make things work, use what you got. But I managed to make a wing out of it after, working with it as much as I could. I kept the wing pretty short though with this look. So I'm using my Male Beauty mascara to prep my lashes for some falsies. Now these are Demi lashes by Ardell, and I did stack them, and by this time I was almost ready for bed, so I went ahead and just did my foundation and color correcting off camera. But I did decide to show you my BH Cosmetics Pro Studio Cream Contour Palette. This is a new BH Cosmetic item. I've been loving it so far. Formulas are deliciously creamy, really pigmented. Now if you like your creams to be a little bit more liquidy, you can add your beauty oil to it. I use my Ebony 24 karat gold serum, and I can add that to the palette and just kind of dip into that and make them a little bit more creamy and fluid if you want to do that, but they don't necessarily need it. Now it took me a little bit to figure out what shades worked for my skin tone because some of the lighter shades were a little bit too light than what they appeared in the palette, and I guess the foundation that I had was just a little bit darker, so it kind of contrasted a little bit too much. So it takes a little bit to figure out what works for you, but all in all, it's a pretty good palette for any skin tone. Doing some hardcore baking today with the Sacha Buttercup setting powder. Applying that with my damp beauty sponge. It was also damp when I blended out the rest of the cream contour there. So y'all know I've been loving the powder contour kit from BH Cosmetics as well, so I went ahead and dipped into that. Used the darker shades for the rest of the face and then the lighter shades for the nose because I don't like too much of a strong nose contour. This is my ultimate favorite bronzer. I've used it for drag shows, I've used it on other people, I've used it on myself. I bought it about 3 times now. It's just my go-to bronzer because it's matte, it doesn't have any shimmer on it, and the shade on it is just amazing on my skin. It's one of my favorites, super natural. Now while I bake, I finish up the eyes and I take the first transition shade along the eyelash, and then I went with the darker brown first and then the burgundy and then blended it out with the dark chocolate brown. Now this was quick on the spot because I couldn't find my waterline pen, so I took my Eyeshadow London eyeliner and just applied that on the waterline. Now if you want a little bit extra brightening under the eye, you can use a lighter powder. I used one from the BH Cosmetics powder contour kit and I dusted away the remaining powder. And that way you get a little bit of brightening while you dust away the powder. Y'all, not even gonna lie, that was the hardest sentence to get out. It's not even 3 o'clock in the morning either. It's 1 o'clock in the morning. Now these custom enhancer drops are just amazing. They're one of my favorite products. I'm so glad I invested in it. This one is called Sunlight. It's a very neutral tone, but it's so magical, y'all. And this product is so versatile. I like to use it as a highlight. So what I do is apply it to the skin, let it sit, and then finger blend it out by little dabbing motions. And then on top of that, I just apply my Carli Bybel highlight. It just makes the highlight pop and reflect even more. But the Lumi Match from L'Oreal Paris is a great dupe for this product as well. I also featured that on one of my channels, so you can check that out so you can compare the 2 highlights together. Now, like I said, I couldn't find the perfect burgundy shade, so I had to create one. So I decided to start off with a brown shade on the lips. This is the shade Coffee by Palladio. It's just an herbal lip liner. And then on top of that, I'm putting the Hydra Matte Lipstick from Tarte Cosmetics. This is the shade Ruby Slipper. On its own, it's like a wine-stained red, blood red. But together, I figured they make a rich burgundy red. Something. Moving on! Set it in the face today with the Slay All Day setting spray by Tarte Cosmetics as well in Peachy Keen, that delicious magical scent. Bada bing, bada boom. Some burgundy and gold slayage, y'all. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe and stay all kinds of purty inside and out.